Hello and welcome to the IND podcast. I'm Dennis Dunicic. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join our growing international community. Russia has opened up its major stock exchange today, the Moscow Exchange, or MOEX for short. It has been closed since late February following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent sanctions that have affected the country. Now, the stock market has maintained its closure to prevent people or investors or other companies from massively selling stocks, crashing the stock market. Now, I am not a financial expert, and I'm assuming that most of you watching this are also not. But just to give you a basic understanding of how stocks and stock markets function, is value increases and the stock market goes up when more people buy shares and stocks inside that market. Conversely, when people sell shares, it goes down. Now, a stock market and the way that it's doing is a major economic indicator for the standard of how things are going in a country. Now, the reality is following the sanctions that were introduced against Russia and following its invasion of Ukraine, many foreign countries wanted to leave the country, professionally speaking, and many have. Because of this, Russia closed its stock market to prevent a complete crash of investors, private individuals, or large companies, hedge funds, etc., from divesting from Russian stock interests. Now, today, the Moscow Exchange, or the MOEX, finally opened, and it rallied massively. At one point, the stock exchange was up by 12%. It closed, and it increased by 4.4%. This is a cry and a show of strength to Western nations who have introduced sanctions against Russia, stating, your sanctions are not working. Now, that's what it may seem like, but the reality is that it's much more complicated. Russia did not just open up the MOEX and the Moscow Exchange. It opened it up with extreme limitations and financial manipulations. The stock market was only open for 4 hours in order to be able to supervise what's going on and prepare an immediate closure in case things went south. Additionally, pretty much only buying stocks was allowed. Foreign investors were completely barred from selling stocks whatsoever on the exchange. So if you were not a Russian national or a Russian citizen and you owned any kind of stock interest on the MOEX, you were not able to sell any of that interest. Your only option was to buy. Short selling, which is a very complicated financial mechanism of investment that I'm not going to go into detail, but I will give you the basics. Short selling, which is basically using different instruments to bet that a stock or a value will decrease, and when it decreases, the investor makes money. Short selling was completely banned, even for Russian citizens, and the mass selling of stocks was also prohibited. Basically, the only thing any investor or actor on the Moscow Exchange could do was buy shit. And when the only option you have on any stock market is to buy, and buy, of course it's going to go up. Now, this kind of increase of 4.4% is obviously a good indicator from Russia. It will lead to political gains for Vladimir Putin, and it does show the international community that maybe its sanctions aren't working. But the reality is that this was heavily manipulated. And this kind of behavior is not just unprecedented, it is unsustainable. Preventing investors from selling stocks is going to eventually stop them from buying. You have to understand that from an investment standpoint, there's really two major ways to make money off of stock investments. Number one is through dividends. By owning stocks over a long period of time through each typically financial quarter, a portion of dividends are paid out to the investor. These are very small compared to the stock's general worth. The other option, which is more common, is to sell the stock after increases in certain value. People typically do this before retirement or after they've reached their financial goals. Hedge funds do the same, and private companies as well. When one of the major methods and instruments for making money on a stock exchange is prohibited, investors simply are not going to be there. The Moscow Exchange can, for now, sustain itself through the investors that it currently has. But financial investors and other people, especially outside of Russia, and understand that in today's global economy, it doesn't matter which country you are, foreign direct investment is crucial to your economic growth, is going to die down. And new investors are going to stop coming to the exchange. This kind of behavior is not a long-term option, and it will hurt Russia in the long term until selling options are available to investors as well. And it can be inferred that once investors are allowed to sell, the market will crash because people want to get their financial interests and assets out of Russia. This has just been another political move to gain support domestically at home for Vladimir Putin's government. But it's also been a show of strength to the international community. But when you look behind the veil, you see what's actually going on. And you see that it's a major financial manipulation that is only going to hurt Russia in the long term. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this kind of economic behavior sustainable? Are the sanctions not affecting Russia? Does the West and its other allies across the world have to do more to put pressure on Russia to end its invasion of Ukraine? And let me know, would you personally right now buy stocks in the Moscow exchange or the MOEX? Thanks for letting me know what you think, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.